Gold Rush began as just kind of a writing experiment in which I flipped a loop on that I took from a Yoko Ono song called Mine Train, which is on her record Fly. And on her record, it's an 18-minute kind of expansive, experimental kind of piece that's very much in keeping with what people tend to think of Yoko Ono's music when they speak of it disparagingly. Myself, I like that stuff, and also I'm a huge fan of her records in general and her songwriting. And I think if I'm on a crusade on this album's campaign, it's to it's for people to actually spend time with her music before they feel like they know what it is, because her music is much more kind of it spans a much wider spectrum than people give it credit for.
There's a lot of Yoko music that's very conventional songwriting, yes. 70s arrangements. However, Mine Train
is not one of those pieces, yeah. So after the election, like many people, there was, or I should say the election in the States, there was it was very difficult to kind of break away from the, despite all of my instincts to not write about that kind of stuff, I found myself writing about it a little bit. None of it made it on this album, thankfully, because a lot of it was terrible. But one of the songs that lyrically was pretty terrible was the song that became Gold Rush. And when I was turning in demos to the band and also to Rich Costi, who produced the record, he asked about that song. He's like, "What's up with that song?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's just this kind of bad Randy Newman-esque kind of political song I wrote. I don't think it's very good." And he's like, "No, but what is the story with it?" And I told him the story of where the sample came from. He's like, "You should really do something with that." And at the same time, I had written 3 or 4 songs that all were related to the place that geography, the role that geography plays in our memory, and specifically in my memories. And we, being a band from Seattle, having lived in Seattle for the past 20 years, I've seen Seattle changing so rapidly over the past 10 years because of the rise of the tech industry in Seattle, and the shifting demographics of the city, the landscape of the city, the skyline of the city, creative communities, people of color kind of being pushed out. It's becoming a fairly monochromatic city, even more so than it was before. So I had a number of songs that were dealing with that subject matter, and I was able to take a lot of those lyrics and then repurpose them for what became Gold Rush. And for me, as a writer, it's a testament to, writing as much as one can for an album, because you really never know when you're going to be able to use something from another song, be it a riff or a lyric or a melody, those things, that might just be the perfect thing you need for another piece of music that you write later that you didn't know how they fit together. So the video came out of a collaboration with the director Alex Southam, who's British, and we initially wanted to do a video that we weren't in for a number of reasons, but mostly because we just felt, I just didn't want to make a video. We didn't want to make a video that's just the band playing in the background of some other storyline happening. And often, one of the things we find difficult about doing videos with this band is the songs are so narrative that we get a lot of video treatments that are just they are just reinforcing the narrative of the song. But Alex had sent over some ideas that were involved, like large crowds, people being lost in crowds, and we kind of spitballed this idea together. Like, well, what if I'm walking down the street and it's a fairly sparse kind of street, and then over the course of the song, it's just eventually I'm just enveloped by people, because that's what it feels like living in a city that is seeing its population explode and shifting over time. So we kind of played with the visuals, in that earlier in the video people are dressed kind of in like 50s garb, and over the course of the video the signature look of people walking through the city changes to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then ends with this scene where everybody's on their phone, and I'm just disappearing into this crowd. And it's, you know, as shooting that last scene was, I took a photo of it and sent it around to everybody, but I sent it to my wife and I was like, this is your worst nightmare. Because this is something that we all, I think all collectively, we all just drives us all insane, is walking down a busy street in a city and just people being on their phones, not even paying attention. Like walking and texting, you know, and I know I might sound like a Luddite in saying this, but it's super fucking annoying. You know, when people are not paying attention to their immediate environment because they're texting with somebody.
It's better than last week in Amsterdam, though, where literally half the people on their bicycles were texting and just riding. It was the craziest thing.
But that's almost like, I find that's almost kind of impressive in a way,
sure,
too, that someone can be riding a bicycle and also texting. And
you expected to, like, you know, kind of looking up, but no, they were just like not looking up. It was wild.